We may have some technical stuff, but we are together and we're so grateful to be with you wherever you are today in this amazing world of ours.
So huge shout out to each of you for the courage that you've shown already in pivoting, right? And kudos to doTERRA for their courage in doing the right thing. Obviously, we don't live in fear. We're not worried about, the mass spread, but we know that being with our families and being there to just support and to be present to them is our #1 priority. So congratulations on being here, and thank you, doTERRA, for your integrity and doing the right thing. So we will be getting started here in just a moment.
And if you haven't received your email yet, let me just say, check your spam folder. The email went out. And so check your spam folder, and let's see in the chat box, let's get the interaction going today so we can keep that connection that we were longing for and create that today. So let's hear where you're joining us from. And I'm so excited. Wow, Vietnam, like we increased our reach, right? And as Andy was talking about the pivot, I just think about how this comes up again and again in our world. Like, we have got to be ready for the pivot. And what a great test that was yesterday, to pivot with what is, right? And learn to love what is. So grateful for each of you and the way you pivoted and whatever process you went through to get there. It's perfect. And here we are landing today.
Yep. So wherever you are today, we just want to invite you. This is going to be workbook, like workshop style. So make sure you create and hold a space for yourself to really go deep and to be able to do some deep heart work. This is not just mental work. This is not just, oh, here's some pretty pictures and nice ideas. This is heart work. So we invite you to give yourself the gift of being present and being fully present to the process today. So if that means shutting the door, just keeping your babysitters, whatever that looks like for you, get a piece of paper, get your hot cocoa or whatever your drink of choice is, and just get cozy with some blank paper. There is a workbook that goes along with this. And so you can access that workbook at sharesuccess.com/courageous leadership. So we'll put a link to that here in the chat.
You got it? So today we have an amazing lineup. We know that it's incredible to have these events live, and we're gonna create that same feeling here today. It's our intention that you leave empowered today, that you leave feeling a connection with fellow leaders across the country and around the world, and you are more clear on your why and just cause, as well as your mission, your message, and your movement. And so, Andy, it's okay if this gets messy today, right?
That's right.
We're here, we're gonna do the work, we're gonna have some fun in that process, and wow, what a great day.
So, creation is messy, right? This is my experience, that it doesn't matter if you're creating big or if it's a beginning creation, but it's always messy, and that's okay. So let's give ourselves grace.
Amen. Okay.
So do we start with Elena, or do we dive in?
Dive in for a few minutes.
Okay. So on the intention piece, we are As many of you know, doTERRA is in a really unique place, different from any other time that we've seen. Natalie and I have been with doTERRA since August of 2008. So coming up on 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really unique market setting where I hear more often than anything the question, is the market saturated? I hear people asking, have we passed the huge growth that we enjoyed for so many years? Like, we all got spoiled by 20 to 50% growth year over year, uninterrupted until 2019. So a lot of people are asking the hard question, are we past the heyday? Are the glory days over? Is there still a legitimate opportunity for me in doTERRA? And Natalie and I are here to tell you, absolutely. There has never been a better time. And the thing that we're going to be diving into today are, what is your relationship with resistance? What we're experiencing right now in the market is simply resistance. It's an obstacle, and we can see that for what it is if we have the right mindset. So that's where we're going today, is how can I, as a leader, create a culture of bravery and courage, and how can I lead that culture with me? How can I be the message that inspires trust? How can I be the voice of certainty that creates certainty? And the very fact that doTERRA canceled leadership, right, and the voice of the world, especially this week, will become a voice of uncertainty. And we get to create trust. We get to create certainty. And through that, we can lead others to certainty. So really, really excited about where we get to go today. So Natalie and I have this crazy belief that everyone has a divine purpose. That we have a divine purpose, that you have a divine purpose. And the greatest joy and fulfillment comes from discovering and living that purpose. And we also believe that it's absolutely possible to create a career and a life that allows you to live that purpose every single day. So let me back up to a couple years ago. Natalie and I were on a Zoom call with one of our frontline builders. And I'm just going to change his name to David for the Witness Protection Program. But basically, David had built to gold, and he'd been with us since early days, right? So he'd been in for 7 years. And after building to gold and watching his team fall apart, he told us, guys, I'm out. I'm done. I don't know how to do doTERRA. And he also said that we had failed at training him. He said, you guys have not given me the tools I need to lead my team. And so this isn't my failure, this is yours. That was a hard conversation. And I still remember Natalie and I sitting on our beds and just shaking our heads and just having such a dark moment. Like we went into such a deep and hard place of what else could we have done? Like how did we not instill a sense of purpose? How did we fail at giving him the ability to be inspired and to create in that space, what more could we have done for this builder? And it was, I mean, we were probably in a state of depression for at least a week. And we just could not find peace with this question of what was our role and what was theirs. So I want to ask, how many of you have had a situation like this? How many of you have lost a builder? How many of you have had somebody who was running with you and carrying the torch with you? They had the vision, they had the sense of purpose, and then they dropped out. How many of you have felt like you had created a new relationship, like a brother, like a family member, only to have them walk away and say, I'm done? What we felt that day was like we had lost a brother, like we had lost a child almost. So I want to give you some context for the way that we were raised to help you understand our purpose and our beliefs. So I was raised by a dad who was super committed to living his purpose. After 20 years of teaching high school, he quit that. He walked away from it all, and he went back to college to get his doctorate degree. And he felt this deep calling and this drive to help families. And so we made some big sacrifices as a family. We left our beautiful home and moved into a tiny apartment. And for 3 years, my dad just put his head down and worked on his PhD. And then he helped me recognize my passion and my drive to be a creator. He helped me recognize that art was this amazing outlet for being a creator. And so he helped develop that gift and that love. And so that's what I studied in high school and in college. He also fed my passion for selling stuff. So as a kid, like in 3rd grade, I brought a box of paper to school, and I would sell these pieces of paper and stickers to my classmates. I also remember that, I had a really great job after college. And I remember after they laid off the whole web team that I was on, I was just ready to put my resume out there and go back to the grind of working for the man. And Natalie said, when are you going to live your purpose? When are you going to start building your dream instead of somebody else's? And so she inspired me to start my own design firm and to be a creator for these clients and to own my future. Fast forward several years, and after Natalie had created a lot of success in doTERRA, I think she was platinum at the time, I had a friend who was a real estate coach and expert. He had a whole company, and I got talked into becoming one of his coaches. Like, I became a real estate coach. And this is when Natalie is like begging me, hey, I could really use some help over here in doTERRA. So she comes to me and she says again, hey, Andy, when are you gonna start living your purpose? When are you gonna live your divine calling to serve and up-level people's lives instead of working for someone else and building their dream? So that was a good little wake-up call. And that's when I chose to jump in with Natalie full time. So can I brag about you now and some of your background? Yep. So Natalie grew up on a cattle ranch in Arizona, and she was gifted a mom who answered the call. When she felt inspired and she felt called to something, she did whatever it took. And that changed the course of Natalie's life. Natalie was, her mom was really Natalie's best friend. So Natalie got engaged to another guy, and they had bought a car together, and they were like ready to seal the deal when Natalie's mom passed away. Totally unexpected, just came out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, Natalie realized that she was on her own, and she got to start making some hard choices. Well, in her heart, she felt called to release this guy that she was engaged to call off the engagement, and to go serve as like a missionary, like as a service leader for a whole 18 months. So she calls off the engagement. She goes and serves for 18 months in Portugal. She falls in love with these people. She's serving them. And at that time, she's listening to a leader and a real mentor who had gotten some inspiration about families and what the family unit is. And at that time, Natalie felt so inspired by that she decided to change her major. And so she felt this calling that I get to serve families, and I get to take a stand for the family. She had grown up in a family that was not filled with as much love as she wanted. And so she said, I'm going to change that. I'm going to be a chain breaker. So she came home, she changed her major. She studied family science. In fact, she even started a nonprofit organization called the Family Life Education Institute. And she hosted multiple conferences, and she became this voice for family wholeness. And then many of you know the story about how 12 years ago, she was driving down the street, and she sees a woman walking with her kids. And once again, she feels a call. There's this calling. You need to turn around and talk to that woman. Well, she answered that call. She got invited to a class about these crazy little brown bottles of essential oil. And then she got invited to learn more. When she attends her first class, they're passing around the peppermint, they're passing around the frankincense, and again, she feels the call. She feels the message of, you need to pay attention, and you're being called to this. Then she comes home, we buy the biggest kit, we start using the oils, she starts doing yoga, and during Shavasana, again, the call comes. Send a bottle of On Guard to your sister Roxanne. Reach out to Laura Jacobs. Send some TerraShield to Kathy Pace. Like, just call after call. And so, to her credit, she learned from every experience in her life the crucial nature of answering the call. In fact, I remember about 15 years ago, you were driving down the street, and we had a few kids. You were wearing yourself ragged with just the busyness
changing
of
diapers,
3 little boys.
taking care of children.
And I remember you having a conversation with God that basically went like this. You're like, God, is this all there is? Like, does my life have a greater purpose? And the impression that came back was, if I could show you what your life has in store, you wouldn't believe me. Like, you have no way of comprehending what's to come. And so, as we do a deep dive today into our mission and your purpose and your calling, I want you to listen to your heart. I want you to trust that the answers are within you and that they always have been. So the process we're going to go through today is going to open a door for you to access a new level of power and a new level of purpose. And what I can promise you is that if you commit and if you go deep, that you will find a sense of clarity and a sense of purpose that will lead you to the next level. I promise you that your journey and your mission is unique to you. And as you accept that calling, as you claim your mission, that literally you will become unstoppable. So we're excited. And this is going to be a great journey. So let's go deep. We invite you to take the courage to own your own story, even with all the imperfections, to own your strengths, and to have the courage to get still long enough to hear the call. So you've all heard the phrase, don't just sit there, do something. Well, our invitation to do today is don't just do something, sit there. We're here to invite you to find your why and to clarify your just cause in a way you've never done before, and then to go all in. So to complete this story, we're actually going to bring on a leader that has shifted so much for us a little bit later today, but there is a happy ending. So please stay tuned. Okay, and right now we have a special guest who is going to share a little bit of her story. And it's not her, is it? No.
So while we bring in this incredible woman, most of you have seen her video. You've been a part of something that Elena Brower has touched in our world. And so as we begin this story, as we dive into vulnerability, we have been so touched by her story and by who she is and by what she's created. So we wanted to have Elena come share her vulnerable story, give us courage to go into our own vulnerable stories and see them for what they are, and use that power to come forward and bring out the courage in others. So let's get Elena.
Should we go to the vulnerability screen?
Yeah, go to that while I get her in.
Okay. All right, how do we?
You flew.
Okay, so how many of you have heard of Brene Brown? This is not a new name in this world. She has been one of our favorite teachers and trainers, and especially because she's brought into the public discourse this topic of vulnerability, right? So what does it mean, in her words, to be vulnerable? She says, I define vulnerability as uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. So that probably sounds a little bit abstract to some of you. So let's give a concrete example. She says, with that definition in mind, let's think about love. Waking up every day and loving someone who may or may not love us back, whose safety we can't ensure, who may stay in our lives or may leave without a moment's notice, who may be loyal to the day they die or betray us tomorrow. That's vulnerability. So being vulnerable is a choice that we could get to make every day and in every relationship. And many of us, probably most of us, were raised believing that vulnerability is a weakness. So,
sorry, she's right.
oh. Let's see.
Elena is showing up as Dana Moore. I love it. So we're gonna pop in. Elena, my friend. That's why we couldn't find you. Hey.
I am so sorry. Do you know what I just realized? We did a Diamond Club recording yesterday and I logged in as Dana and I forgot to log out.
You went incognito.
I was full of incognito. I can't believe that. I'm so sorry, guys.
You were testing us to see if we
worries.
could intuitively find you.
I was like, here I am, here I am, here I am.
Why is nobody seeing me?
Why isn't I'm raising my hand? Let's I want to dovetail beautifully, Andy, on top of what you were just saying, because Brene also is one of my heroes. And I was thinking it might be nice to stop sharing your screen for a moment and then get into a brief practice and a brief explanation of why you brought me here. We know each other very well. Again, if you're logging on just now, I'm not Dana Moore, but Dana is one of my heart, soul sisters in this world. I'm logged on as her for another reason. My name is Elena Brower, and Andy and Natalie and I have become friends. We're cross-team friends. I'm actually not on their official team, but we're all one team in the end. Andy and Natalie were called me on here because I had about 6 years ago a very serious brush with this very concept of becoming deeply vulnerable and emotionally exposing myself to a large community that I had built over 20 years. This was not an easy thing to do. I was a fairly successful yoga teacher, to all appearances, top of my game, perfectly fine doing what I was doing. I realized at a certain point that there wasn't going to be enough money, even as doing as well as I was, there wasn't going to be enough money to be deeply philanthropic, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to serve and give, and I wasn't ever going to make that kind of money as a yoga teacher. What I learned to accept is that I had to find another way to accomplish that philanthropy and that service, and that would require me to become incredibly vulnerable and expose myself emotionally in a way that I wasn't really ever prepared to do. I did it. I had to learn that ambition was not a problem. I had to learn that my ego was not a problem, that in fact, in any great leader that you've ever admired, there was a healthy dose of ego that got them to where they were so that they could speak to your heart from theirs. That was so important for them and so important for you. What I had to do was simply believe. I had to believe in the oils, which I already did. I already had more than 10 years of experience with them and success with them in many realms of my health. I had to believe in myself. And to do that, and this is the most important part, and Andy, you've already touched on this today, to believe in myself, I had to build a level of trust with myself that I have never built before. That required me to start to be so diligent and vigilant about how I treat myself and the things in my life that I do on a daily basis. To build trust in myself, I had to do what I said I would do. Think about that for a moment. How many times a day do you say that you're going to do something and then, oh, I'll just do it another time? Or you say that you did something that you didn't do. All of that, where it erodes our trust in ourselves. That became the most important mission for me, was how do I trust myself like a maniac? How do I build every single moment an opportunity to trust in what I'm saying and doing, and then go to belief? And that's how it worked. I created these opportunities for myself and my schedule and my family and my relations. And no, I'm not perfect, guys. I screw up all the time. But I built in all of these opportunities for me to say I was going to do something and then follow through. Say I was going to do something and follow through, until there came a day where, like I have today, where I know myself now. I know I'm not going to back down on myself. I know I'm not going to lie to myself. I can trust myself fully. That, to me, is the absolute core of this whole business. How do I trust myself so that I can believe in my power to share what it is that we're sharing here, so that I can build a team, so that I can build trust with my leaders, so that I can create a container for service? You guys, in the end, it's just that. We're creating a container to serve. What I've written down is this: if I can build trust in myself, I can relax my armor, I can relax my negativity, I can relax all the hard edges. If I can build trust in myself, I can be emotionally exposed, as I was when I first started this. So many people in the yoga world were like, look at her, she sold out. Look at that, what terrible choices. And I was like, I really don't think that's true. And I didn't fight. I didn't resist. I just let all those comments kind of come my way, and I would just move to the side like a good martial artist, move to the other side, just let it go. It's going to go to somebody else anyway. They'll find somebody else to make fun of. And I let it go. In the end, I'm going to be 50 this year, and I'm going to be the most philanthropic I've ever been this year, and invest in my dear friends, and invest in their causes, and invest in Healing Hands through all the sponsorship that I'm doing, and work in the way that I wanted to work always, exactly like Natalie and Andy's story. When are you going to live your truth? That became the question for me. That's the question every day. So now that I trust myself, I am very, very comfortable being fragile and being vulnerable and exposing myself emotionally. It's good for everyone. And if you're listening to this and watching this and you're thinking, oh, no, not me. I am not going to let that guard down ever. I am not going to relax my armor ever. Look at path 1 of your workbook. Guess what, guys? The minute you relax your armor and the minute you let your guard down and be emotionally exposed, guess what happens? Your whole team will feel comfortable doing the same, and that will lead to your success squarely. So I really ask you, and we'll do just a 5-minute meditation right now to start us off for today. I ask you to take the risk you need to take in order to be emotionally exposed, in order to be vulnerable. Tell the stories that you need to tell. This is your leadership hinges on your story and your capacity to tell your story as far and as broadly as you can. And don't think about it in terms of this business requires such hard work and so much hustle. It's not like that. This business is so much more about that moving to the side and letting things flow. It's not about hustle. It's about flow. And it's not about exhausting yourself. It's about restful efficiency. How restfully efficient can I be in a given day over the course of these few hours that I have to do my work? And it's not about any achievement or rank, how broadly can I serve? Because the minute I put it like that, suddenly I'm rank advancing. Suddenly the team that was sort of slacking has momentum because I'm thinking about it in terms of my service and not about my achievement. And it's a shared effort. So to that end, I want to go right to the center of your being. I'm going to have you just close your eyes, stay where you are, put your pen down or your phone. Set your screen somewhere where you can just see it and feel it, and close your eyes. The center of you for today is the very center of your chest, right in the center of your heart. It's not your actual heart, which is to the left, but there's just the center of your chest, your upper chest. And with your eyes closed, begin to breathe with an awareness of that space, expanding as you inhale, and then relaxing as you exhale. Expanding as you inhale, and then relaxing as you exhale. Keep going like that for the next several breaths. And allow yourself to feel, with that expansion, a level of spaciousness and openness, a level of freedom. And with every relaxation, every exhalation, there's a feeling of finding yourself again, a feeling of landing in yourself again. So that the pulsation is from expansion and freedom to groundedness and knowingness, restfulness. With each successive breath, you might notice that something changes chemically in your body. There's a shift, almost like downshifting a car. Something slows, systems slow, almost like your circulation is slowing. Your thoughts begin to slow, and there begins to be a perceptible pause between one thought and the next. We are inviting the body to release tension, to let go of fear, to steadily ground into this present moment. Inviting the muscles of the face to relax and maybe even smile. Inviting along the jaw and all the way up to the hairline, a softening, a release. And feeling how this sweetness begins to permeate the whole body. The breath begins to deepen. The inhalation even more spacious, the exhalation even more restful, grounded, stable. Taking your last 3 breaths here. Big, full, opening, softening. Connected to yourself. And very gently bring your chin down toward your chest. And slowly bring your hands in front of your face and rub your hands together pretty briskly. And then place your palms right over the sockets of your eyes gently, hands resting on your head, fingertips resting on your hairline, forehead. And put a big smile on your face and slowly begin to blink your eyes open from inside your hands. And then gently open your hands and come back. That sort of practice has never been more useful as it is right now. You remembering where you are and where you stand in these times is a balm for your community, is a balm for your team. So, so important for them. And I want to thank Andy and Natalie for having me. What a pleasure, what an honor. I love our love. I treasure it. And I thank you so much. Thank you. I'm missing everybody so much right now.
Thank you so much, Elena.
You're
What
welcome.
a gift you are to us personally and to this community. So, so grateful for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the good news to close the story is that many of those people who once denigrated me for choosing to be with doTERRA are now asking me what oils, where, and how to get them. Yeah, these 5-10 years later. So everything comes around, and it was good that I just moved to the side and let it go. And I never took it in, because now there's no bad space between us and I can just serve them.
Wow. Namaste.
Namaste, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I love the fact that we might not all be in the same space physically, but our hearts are.
Yes.
And we can transcend the outer chaos and find this inner peace and an inner stillness. So thank you for creating that space for us and bringing us all together.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you very soon.
Okay. Blessings
I'm
to
going to
you.
log back on as myself for the rest of the day.
Awesome.
That is Dana. All right. Love you.
Thank you so much, Elena. God bless.
Bye, honey.
Oh, what a gift Elena is. She is, I still remember the first time she came up on stage and led us all in some yoga and meditation at convention. And I was completely transported, like to a whole new universe is how it felt. And that's a gift that we all can give ourselves. This is not a proprietary, exclusive gift that is held by the mystics. This is a gift we all can give ourselves. And as Elena said, that we get to give our teams in these times of uncertainty. So thank you for that invitation, Elena. As Elena was sharing, I love the tie-in. Let me share my screen here. So how many of you have seen this little chart called the belief levels? Probably most of you. So for those of you who haven't, the idea is that mindset matters, right? Where our belief is the starting place and the foundation for everything we do. So let me, why is that not showing? Maybe I have to start video, then share. There we go. Okay, can we see that now? All right. So the idea here is that we build line upon line. We start with a foundation, and then we can build from there. So the foundational belief in doTERRA is belief in the product. And then as we grow, as we come to trust the products, we start to believe in the company. And then as we hear about the compensation plan, we can believe in the company and the opportunity. And then to build the silver, we get to learn to believe in ourselves. And then to expand to gold and beyond, it becomes relational. So it's all about believing in your builders, in your team, and then expanding your belief in your why, your influence, and then ultimately your legacy. So if you'll take a look at this, you'll notice that from gold on up, it has to do with your the people outside of you and how you interact with them. So we might say that this chart is not necessarily about just belief levels, but it's about courage levels and our willingness to step outside of our comfort zones, our willingness to be, to do hard things and to try on, like Elena shared, being willing to be courageous, even when the reputation of network marketing was not something that she wanted to associate with. So I love this quote by Brené Brown: "The level of collective courage in an organization is the absolute best predictor of that organization's ability to be successful in terms of its culture, to develop leaders, and to meet its mission." So courage, right? It's about our relationship with courage. But as Elena was talking, the thought came that maybe instead of belief levels, this chart is about trust levels. To what level do I trust my builders? How much do I trust my team? And if we keep coming down the chart, the question is, how much do I trust myself? How much can I say that I choose into faith and belief that I'm in the right place at the right time, that I'm doing the right thing? So, trust. That's my first assignment for you today, is to go ahead and rate yourself on each of these levels. How much do I trust the products? You know, in these times of chaos, will I reach for solutions that the world provides, or will I reach for my On Guard hand sanitizer? Am I gonna go for a level of trust in the product that inspires trust in others? The next question is, how much do I trust the company? How much do I trust these amazing 7 owners, 3 of which will be joining us today? I'm really excited about that. And just go ahead and give yourself a score, 1 to 10. How much do I trust? Then the big question, it's silver. How much do I trust myself? And just be honest. There's no need to give out undue gold stars. It's just be open and honest with yourself. Then what's your trust level in your team, your builders? And there will be a page in the workbook where we get to do a deep dive with each of your builders, but we're not there just yet. So, and then, you know, what's your belief and your trust and your why and your influence and your legacy. So, fantastic questions and such a great place to start. And here's a truth that I know with all my heart, that who you are is how you lead. Who you are is how you lead. Every single time that Natalie and I face any kind of issue or struggle in our team, I think of one of my dear friends, Justin Lee, and what he told me. He said, every problem is a leadership problem, and you are the leader. Dang. Right? Like, talk about a kick to the jugular. If that's true, then we are 100% accountable for everything in our world. So, I want to ask a question that, as many of you, I saw in the comments, somebody talked about building up to a rank and then falling back. How many of you in your doTERRA journeys have experienced some level of rank shame? Right? Shame that you haven't achieved a rank yet. Shame that maybe you hit a rank, but you've fallen back. Or for some people, maybe even I'm experiencing shame because on a BOGO month, I hit a rank, but that's not my actual rank. And so a sense of I'm recognized at a rank that I haven't earned. So rank shame is a real thing. You know, we don't talk about it very often, but I don't know anybody who hasn't experienced it at some level. When this builder that I was talking about at the beginning of the call, David, when he actually built, we partnered to platinum, and then he slipped back to gold, and then he slipped back to, and so that we lost our presidential diamond status for a long time. And then he slipped back to silver, and then to premier. And that impacted our rank for a couple of years. And that was a hard thing to have the Leadership magazine published with us in a rank section that we felt like we were higher than that because we'd been there before. So rank shame is a real thing. And there's a whole story that we tell ourselves about what that rank means. And the risk is that we create identity around rank. The risk is that we attach value and self-worth based on our rank. You know, I have X pockets of volume in X places means I have value, right? Is that true or not? I have leaders who have come to events, and after introducing themselves, people said, "So what's your rank?" And man, talk about a shame storm, right? This is an easy temptation in in a recognition environment, right? Where we create a lot of hullabaloo around what rank you've hit, all of the red carpet and the confetti. And so I want to invite you to write down somewhere, I am not my rank. My rank does not define me. I am of infinite worth. And sometimes my rank reflects that, and sometimes it doesn't. So giving yourself permission to detach from a certain rank and any meaning that's associated with that. So I want to share a quick story. This is an analogy. So I want you to imagine a farmer has a bucket full of seeds, and he goes out one day and he throws seeds out. Some of it lands in fertile soil, and some of it lands in more rocky places. Well, the rains come, the heat of the sun comes, and the soil, the seeds that fell in the rich soil flourished and grew. And the seeds that fell among the rocky places withered in the heat of the sun. Pretty simple story, right? So in the story, I want you to think of the seed as being doTERRA, and I want you to think of the soil as being a whole person, okay? And what do I mean by a whole person, right? This is someone who has multi-dimensions. They've got a social aspect, a mental, a spiritual aspect, a physical and a financial. So when we think about, and this is in your workbook, by the way, this is page 2. So if you like to follow along in workbooks, then here are some of the answers that you can fill in that workbook. So doTERRA is the seed, and each of us as a whole person, we have at least 5 dimensions, and in those dimensions we have needs. We have a desire to be loved, right? We're hardwired for love and connection. I love this quote, that's in our DNA, that love and connection is just the wiring that we came with, period. We also have mental needs. We have a need to grow. We have spiritual needs. We want to do meaningful things with our lives. Elena spoke to how her goals are around the philanthropic good that she can do. doTERRA is meeting that need. We all have physical needs, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it all starts with, do I have food to put in my mouth? Do I have shelter over my head? And that's tied to financial. We all have financial goals and dreams. The rain in this analogy represents the love and the certainty that we bring to our team. And the sun represents resistance. So, one of my questions for you is, how can I bring more rain to my team? How can I shower them with the love that we are all craving as humans? Knowing this about your team, your leaders, even your customers, that they are hardwired for love and connection. My question there is, how can you pour more love into them starting today? So Natalie and I have found over and over and over again that love works, that we can try different strategies, that we can, run like chickens with their heads cut off, chasing this or that way of saying things, or this or that script, or building online, or whatever the flavor of the month is, or the shiny object of the day is. But we've never found that love goes out of style. And love is what fills and meets our needs at such a deep heart level that when you pour love into relationships, they last. And you can weather any storm, and you can create at any level with enough love. So what does that look like, right? Like, that sounds really pretty, Andy, all these abstract ideas, but what does love actually look like? To me, it looks like giving, meeting people where they are. At the very beginning of a relationship, it looks like getting curious, getting to know what people's lives look like in each of these 5 dimensions. What is your life? Tell me more about your family, about your goals, your dreams. Love looks like being as committed to other people's dreams as they are. And that starts with curiosity. So getting a roadmap of your leaders' unmet needs in each of these 5 dimensions is where it starts. So let me just give you some concrete examples of what love can look like, okay? When you launch a new team, you don't just have trainings, but you also go to lunch sometimes, right? This is a lunch we had recently with a couple of new teams that we were launching. This is one of our rockstar leaders, family in Shanghai. So I was on a trip to China a few years ago, supporting this team. And this morning, the team, this leader did not need more training. They did not need strategy on placements. What they needed was for their 4 kids to be fed. And it was such a sweet privilege to just be able to sit and feed some scrambled eggs to these 2 beautiful children. To us, love looks like being there to support your team any day, and creating a space where they can connect with you. For us, that looks like every Wednesday morning showing up on a success coaching call, and being just being there. We're all going to have questions. We're going to hit roadblocks on the journey, and being there to support. I can't tell you how many times Natalie has rubbed oils on our team members. She is just so good at sensing when they're having stress, when they're having anxiety, and then reaching for the precious gifts of the earth and pouring in this healing balm. And I get emotional when I think about it, because if we had any idea what a massive gift we have in these precious gifts of the earth, we would be there and pouring these gifts all over people all the time. We have such a tool. Some of you, if you're silver and above, have gotten one of these boxes in the mail at some time. So to us, love looks like sending a little care package once a year that just has messages of hope and simple tools that have served us in our journey usually around emotional health and mental health and just having a good mindset. So we used to build these packages in our garage. And so that's what's pictured here. You can see Eliza back there drowning in boxes. But we have our cross line or down line come over sometimes and help out. So Rox and Kelly are here helping us make packages. It got so big that we had to move it to a warehouse. So it's it doesn't monopolize our garage for a couple months anymore. But sometimes love looks like just showing up and bringing dinner to a team member. You know, Diamond Club, we're just launching. We may not be in a place to throw a ton of money at our builders, but we can always give time. We can always help them with meals. We can help them with their dishes. We can help them with their kids. Diamond Club does take time. So maybe this is one of the gifts that you can give to your leaders, especially in Diamond Club, is just let me come serve you. Let me come support what you're doing. And there's a magical question that I'm going to share with you that is pure gold. If you're ever just in this quandary of what can I do to serve my team? Like how can I really meet them where they are and pour into them? I'm going to give you a little piece of magic here. Just ask them this question: how can I best support you? Is one of the sweetest phrases in the English language. And whenever somebody has said, ask this question of me and Natalie, it just melts our heart, because it shows this willingness to be in service and to customize that service to whatever their needs are. Sometimes love looks like going on fun trips. These are our frontline leaders, the Garretts. They have 9 children and we have 7. And we've been to Disney World a couple times with them. There are 5 parks in Disney World. And so I want you to visualize dragging 16 kids over multiple days around a theme park the size of Texas. It can get exciting, but we love having fun with our leaders and just being in life and being in joy with them. So as we partner in doTERRA and as we grow through these development stages, we start out at the very beginning as an infant, right? We're just learning how to crawl. We still need our upline to help us place orders or even to teach a class. We need help with placements. As we start growing into a child and a preteen, we're starting to do more for ourselves. We start holding our own trainings. As a teenager, we might do things like holding team calls or holding Saturday trainings, maybe doing a book club with our teams. As we move into adulthood, which might correlate with being a diamond, you're pretty independent. And most diamonds are kind of ready to move out of the house, so to speak, and be on their own, leading their team. And by the time you're blue or presidential, you might be a mature adult and truly owning your team and your leadership. So as we grow and as our team grows through these ranks, do we ever get hurt feelings? Do we ever get emotional scars from misunderstanding each other? How many times have we just lie down in bed and asked ourselves, how could it hurt this bad? Like, how could we have screwed up this many times and be back here in the same place? I'm here to tell you that getting to the highest levels of leadership does not mean that you don't have hard days. We have had to deal with so many hurt feelings and emotional scars that I feel like Natalie and I are certified medics. It's hard. Life, doing a hard thing, putting yourself out there and taking a stand is vulnerable. It's risky. And what happens when you take risk? You fall. In fact, there's a great quote, another Brené Brown, that the physics of vulnerability are that we all fall. If we're brave enough, often enough, we will fall. It's the simple physics of vulnerability. So, what do we do when we fall down? What do we do when we get hurt, or we hurt one of our team members, or whether we meant to or not, they get hurt by us? I'm going to give you another piece of gold, another nugget that will serve you for the rest of your lives. And that's to sit down with these people that are hurt and ask, can we start again? Can you forgive me? I am so imperfect, and I'm sorry. I had no intention of hurting, and as hard as it is for both of us to believe in me, can we please just start again? And that is such a healing conversation. We've had to do it with all of our frontline multiple times, and many leaders deeper in our organization as well. So it's, the physics is that there will be resistance. The sun will come out and it will test us to the core. It's built into the universe to say, hey, are you going to grow, or are you going to shrivel? What's your relationship with resistance? And the key to surviving the heat of the sun is having deep roots. So we talked earlier about these 5 dimensions, and doTERRA being the seed. So my question for you is, how deep is the seed of doTERRA in each of these 5 dimensions? How well have I nourished my physical space with the oils? How well have I built my reservoirs of belief in the financial healing that comes through doTERRA? How much has doTERRA created a social network? I think this is probably why many of our hearts are broken right now, is because we wanted to get together and have our family reunion this week. And Phoenix was going to be this amazing social payoff. And if we're not careful, we can go into a victim energy of, I'm starving socially. I'm not getting my needs filled with my doTERRA tribe. But I also want to ask you, how well are your needs being served by doTERRA in the mental and spiritual? Are you allowing doTERRA to stretch your mind and to fuel your personal growth? Are you also allowing doTERRA to be a catalyst for spiritual growth? Are you choosing to be a better person because of the experiences doTERRA is giving you? Are you choosing an outward mindset or an inward mindset? So there's a space in your workbook to do a little analysis. So I want to invite you to just take a few minutes right now and think about how deep the roots are in each of these areas, okay? So go ahead, and this is the bottom of page 2. There's a little matrix of blank lines. And first, assess yourself. You know, if you had to rate yourself, give yourself a score, how deep has doTERRA got roots in each of these 5 areas for myself? And then once you're done with that, go to how deep does it have roots for my leaders? And I want you to focus on your qualifying legs, okay? You could do this with anybody, but let's focus today on your qualifying legs. So go ahead and take some time and let's fill out that part of our workbook. And if you're joining us late, the workbook is at sharesuccess.com/courageous leadership. All right. I'd love to hear in your comments, what are some insights that you're having as you reflect on the roots that doTERRA has in your life and in the lives of your leaders, your team. Go ahead and post in the chat box. What are some insights that you're having? So we have a question. What is mental about? Mental is really about your mindset. It's about your personal development. It's who you're becoming and what you're learning, how you're expanding in the mental space. So that's what we mean by mental. Okay, so one insight is I'm feeling the roots of my spiritual and mental growth are much deeper now than ever before. Awesome. I love to hear that. And there's an ebb and a flow, right? For many of us, the first place that doTERRA got roots was in the physical, right? Somebody gave us an oil experience. It served a physical need. And all of a sudden, we're having healing. So that's where it gets roots early on. Some of us moved into the business space next, and we started seeing fruits there. And so that's where it got roots next. Somebody is saying that the financial and physical aspects are not great at earlier ranks. I would probably disagree with you there that the financial isn't great at the early ranks, but the physical aspects are available at any rank, right? Customers, builders, regardless, we can all be served by the physical healing. Todd is saying, I can see where my leaders may need more support and love poured into them. Athena says, I realize how little I know about where my leaders are. How many of you can relate to this? How many of you, the biggest aha is, I don't know. Like I maybe haven't thought about the leader in terms of their unmet needs. And so this is a whole new conversation, right? A whole new possibility that opens up as we realize there's a lot of opportunity here. There's so much more that we can do and give. So as the heat of the sun comes, right, resistance shows up in so many different ways. The key to keeping leaders and keeping builders and having high engagement is deep roots in more areas. Let me say that again. If you're asking yourself, why am I losing builders? Or how can I keep builders for the long play, right? For the infinite game, not just for today's rank or for next month's BOGOs. Like, how can I really have highly engaged builders? The key is to nourish deep roots in more areas. So when the heat of the sun comes, when it gets hard, and it will, resistance is inevitable, they have deep roots and they can weather the storm. I will always remember one of my mentors when I was only 19 years old. I also went and served. I served in Paris and in the suburbs of Paris for 2 years. And I had a mentor who showed up for me. And through tears, he said to me, Andy, le vent fait du bon bois. Wind makes good wood. So what he means by that is when a tree is forced to grow against the resistance, it becomes stronger. So if I'm a woodworker and I want to make a beautiful, wood chest, I'm not going to go out to the middle of the forest where the tree has been surrounded by other trees. I'm going to go to the edge of a cliff and use that wood because wind makes good wood. So our job is not to give our team more resistance, right? It's not to be the source of trials, but it's to help those roots go deep. So, love all the comments that we're getting. And yes, it is being recorded. The recording will be available through Saturday. So if you're missing things here and there, if you have to step out for a minute, don't stress. It's all being recorded. Okay,